Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Fiction in Real Life podcast. We're excited to be here. We are missing one of our companions, Jen Geigle Johnson, so we will see her next time she is on vacation with her family. Anyway, so I am Heather Moore, and this is Jennifer Moore and Julie Daines. And what we kind of normally do is just kind of catch you up today on what we're writing or editing or currently working on in our publishing lives. So I will go first, and I am just kind of doing finishing touches on my World War II novel that is set in Indonesia. The lady I wrote the story about, she has read it, and so right now it's with some beta readers, and I hopefully will submit in the next couple weeks to my publisher. Do you want to go next, Jennifer?
Yeah, I'm still, as I have been forever, working on educating Elizabeth, but I'm getting really close to the finish. So I'm hoping to have it done by the 10th or the 11th and just send it out the door for edits. But right now I'm just in the middle of getting ready to launch Healing Hazel. I just got my author copies yesterday.
Awesome.
Isn't that pretty? Yeah. So that's what I'm working on, is kind of marketing. And I think that's just an author thing. You're always like writing one book, editing one book, marketing one book, thinking of what you're going to do next, and kind of starting to, anyway, so I'm in that cycle right now.
Awesome. Do you want to go ahead next, Julie?
Yeah. So as I've been saying, finishing up that, Meriden Park book. And just when I thought we were completely done and it was off to press, we got a little more feedback from yet another sensitivity reader. So I had to make a few little changes, but this time for reals, it's done and off to press. So look forward to that in December.
Awesome. And then Jennifer brought up her newest book release. And so that is going to be our giveaway today, is Healing Hazel. And to be entered into the giveaway, you just make comments right on this podcast. You can comment on any of our Facebook pages. We're also on YouTube under the same name, Fiction in Real Life. And how long do we wait to announce a winner?
We should do like a week or something.
Okay. So you have some time to make comments and to share, and you might win that beautiful book. So those who might be listening for the first time, basically what we do is we discuss stories that are stranger than fiction, and some of them are submitted by you, our listeners. So today we are talking about heart-stopping moments. So let's actually go to Julie. Julie's going to share her story with us.
I'm so excited to share this story. It's seriously my favorite story to tell. So gather around, everyone, and sit down. But so in my sister's neighborhood, which is right next to my neighborhood, I might add, is my sister-in-law. She told this story of her neighbor that happened. This is a true story. So one night, her daughter woke up in the middle of the night, and there was a man standing by her bed, stroking her arm. So she just screamed, right? And her parents came running, and the man got away before anyone caught him. Because, everyone's in so much shock, what's going on? Anyway, so the man got away, and they called the police, and the police came out, and they did a search of the house and a search of area. There was no signs of forced entry or anything like that. So what they said was that he had probably snuck into the house during the day, just as people are coming and going, and hid in the basement or in the attic until everyone was asleep. And then he came out and was in the girl's bedroom, stroking her arm and stuff. Well, that totally freaked me out. So then a couple weeks later, I was doing some laundry, and I noticed that the little hatch part thing of our attic that's in the laundry room was off center. Someone had opened it but not put it back on properly. So that totally freaked me out because I was remembering that story. And then later that day, this was around Halloween time, we were sitting around at my friend's house telling scary stories to a group of young women. And I told the story of the guy that was stroking her arm and stuff like that. And again, so I'm like at peak freak out. And I walk home in the dark and I get in bed and I'm like almost asleep. And I feel something touching my arm.
Oh, no.
And I screamed so loud. I've never screamed like that before in my life. And then my husband like went from sound asleep to
Yeah.
standing up, like, what is going on in an instant? It was the scariest thing. And in the end, it was my sweet, beautiful daughter, Marin, who was probably like 6 or 7 years old at the time, trying to tell me something, trying to wake me up so she could tell me something. She burst into tears. I have a picture here of Marin when she was about that age. Yeah. So, and we were all traumatized. It traumatized the entire family. And
Oh my gosh.
I'll never forget that. So that's my story.
Wow, that would be really freaky. So let me grab my cards here. I don't know. I might have to like think about this a little more if I would book it or not. So would you book it, Jennifer?
Yeah, I'd book it because it was funny at the end. I would not book the creepy guy at the beginning.
Yeah.
He's not getting any of my stories.
That's like a Stephanie Black story, right?
That seems like the first little part of Law and Order. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's horrifying. But the funny part about you kind of already being a little bit scared and then just an innocent thing, I just love that. That's funny. If I could figure out how to do that. And poor Marin, that's just what a great story.
It was so funny.
Okay, I agree now. So I think I like the ending too. I would book it and maybe change the beginning to where you just heard some scary ghost story or you're just reading a scary book, but not having it based on like a real life, something that happened to a family member, because that is really, really scary.
I know.
What about you, Julie? Would you book your own story?
I would totally book my own story, and I would book it because I love scary, creepy stuff like that. That's why this story is my favorite. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe the voodoo doll story is my favorite. I can't decide. But it was really freaky.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, when you're the one that's screaming though, do you still like the story?
Well, the problem is that I get scared pretty easily, as I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
So I have lived my whole life suffering at the expense of other people who think it's funny to make me scream. So for me to scream is not that unusual.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Jennifer, let's hear your story.
Okay, this is a story that was sent in by Taya. It's spelled like Leia with a T. So I'm going to say Taya, but I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. But her story, this is cute. At the very beginning, she says, I have a story that Julie will probably like because it's kind of creepy. It's really cute. Anyway, she said that she grew up on a farm in northeastern Utah. And if anybody has ever been up there or knows about it, it's so cold up there in the winter. And they have cattle and sheep on their farm. She didn't say how old she was. So I'm kind of assuming that she's one of the kids in the family, but because she and her older sister were kind of doing chores. So anyway, by their barn where they keep their animals in the winter, there is her grandparents' house, and her grandparents had died, but their house is still there, and they use it when they go to the barn and they're doing, whatever you do in the barn, and you can go in and get a drink of water, go to the bathroom or whatever, or warm up. So some of the sheep got out of their pen or the barn or wherever they were, and they got into the grandparents' yard. So the girls were out there, and they got there the next morning, and the sheep had been there overnight, and they were shoeing them, or however you get sheep back to where they're supposed to go. And one of them had died, and it was frozen. So they just left that sheep there because the ground was too frozen to do anything. And, they just thought they would worry about that when spring came. And so they got the sheep back. And then a couple days later, they were at their grandparents' house again. I guess they were out doing chores, and they went over to the grandparents' house. And the sister was like, hey, Tia, look out there. Do you see that? Did you see that? And they thought they saw the sheep's leg moving, the frozen sheep that's I don't know if it was laying there like rigor mortis or if it was standing. I don't know how sheep die or whatever, but it's there. And they thought that they saw it moving. So they like went out there and I'm going to read what she said. They went out there to like poke it or, see if it's still dead. And it was moving. It started kicking its legs and it's still frozen to the ground. So I guess she didn't explain it very well. So I guess it's maybe laying down and its wool is frozen to the ground. But anyway, it starts kicking. So the girls like chip the sheep up. And it just, once it was free from the frozen ground, it just hopped up and went back in the pen with the others. So, anyway, she said it's been one of the strangest things I've ever seen. We knew that the sheep was dead, but apparently it was just frozen in place for a few days. So there's the story. Yeah.
Wow, that's kind of crazy.
I know. Weird.
I'm glad they went back went back before so they could help the sheep. That poor sheep.
No.
2 days. Just frozen in place.
Yeah.
How can these people walk around you and all your other sheep friends leave?
Yeah. Yeah. Gross.
So would you book it, Jennifer?
I don't know. Maybe first of all, I can't think of a reason to, like a story that I would ever have a frozen sheep, but I like the story. So I'm just going to say book it and put it on hold in my book it library because I think it's so funny. And I guess I would have to learn about sheep if they,
about goats.
Yeah, right. Okay. So yeah, I didn't ever think I would need to know about goats, but it turns out. So yep, I would book it. I like the story a lot.
What about you, Julie? Would you book it?
Oh my gosh. Zombie sheep, cryogenetics. I would totally book it. It's got, I can just totally see someone, coming up with some new way to freeze, something and then revive it later on. It's all like Frankenstein-y zombie. I'm in.
Yep.
100%. Love it.
Well, I feel like I probably wouldn't book it if you two are going to book it, because then if we have our books coming out similar times, I mean, the story's cool and it could be very fun and clever, to put in the right story. Because I think it could go historical or contemporary. It could be either genre. But
the only like a beloved family pet dog, that would be a cute part of a story.
No,
I thought my dog was dead,
either.
but it's back alive.
Zombie.
That'd be traumatized. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, I wouldn't want to be like said, oh, well, she just copied that. I did. Because it's so unique. I mean, I've never read that in a story before.
Yeah, so I've never heard anything like that before.
Yeah, anyway. Well, thanks everyone for commenting. We'll go back and we'll respond to your comments and stuff. So one thing we want you to remember is submit your stories, just the crazy, the weird, the bizarre, anything. It could be personal. It could be a family story. It could be something that you've heard or read about in the news that you think would be fun for us to discuss. It might take us a while to get to them, but that's fine because we're always coming through the emails and trying to find stories that we can connect to something else as well. So don't be afraid. And then remember that we are giving away Healing Hazel to those that comment this week on our podcast. And you can find us on YouTube and all of our Facebook author pages on Facebook. I already said that. Anyway, but thanks for joining us again. And this has been Fiction
in
Real
Life.
Yay.
Thanks, guys. See you later.